Right, welcome back to the channel, and as you can see the car's up in the air, and the reason it's up in the air is because I'm doing bits on the exhaust. If you haven't seen that, it's on the previous video, so go back and have a little look and that will show you the reason why it's kind of up on the ramps at the moment. So while I wait for the parts to turn up for this, what I'm going to do is have a go at getting the suspension compressor off, which is underneath the driver's seat, and then while that's off I'm going to look at refurbishing it. Right, so the first thing to do is obviously to get stands under all of the suspension, because when I disconnect the compressor I think it's going to sink. Now I'm going to try and get the air out of the system. Right, we're into the programming with my little tool that I've bought. I think to vent it out we need to go to this one, level control. I'm pretty sure I saw the option to vent system here, which is what I want to do, because otherwise if I, is this it, bleed? Yeah, bleed pressure reservoir. Right, I can hear it hissing. I don't know whether I need to bleed the air springs. Do I need to do that? Maybe I should do it. Let's do it. Now what it'll do is the car should settle down onto the stands. Now I'm doing the rear. I can hear that puffing out. Right, well I've bled all the air out of the bags, but it's not sitting on the stands. So that's interesting. I would have thought that with the air bled out, it would be sitting on those. At the front over there, as you can see, it's not sitting on that stand either, so that's strange. Right, there's the plastic trim bit off. And I think someone's had it off before, because one of the fixings was this. It's a self-drilling, what looks like a roofing bolt. That certainly isn't meant to be in there. Here's your air compressor, and I reckon I just have to take out, I think it's these bolts, these cradle bolts. Again, that doesn't look like an original bolt screw. It's obviously been out, but I don't know when. So I'm going to do it anyway. Right, so let's have a go at getting this compressor unbolted. Oh, it's starting to drop down already. Oh, that sounds good. I think, oh no, whatever this is bolted to, feels like it's gonna snap off to me. That's really, oh yeah, what a surprise. So to get this out of here, oh, there's loads of shit coming off of it. How do I get the compressor out of that cradle, do you think? Because there's a lot of hoses and stuff here. We need to disconnect all that stuff. To get some video of this. So along the bottom, on the outside is green, then red, then yellow. And on the top there's a black one, which I think stays on the pump body itself, and then purple and then blue. Okay, so I've had a little rethink on this compressor. I just took that hose out of there. It's just a push down sort of gripper fitting, and it just popped out and give a little bit of a hiss. But I reckon I can get this compressor off this cage without taking the whole lot away and disconnecting all those airlines. Right, so I got to this stage, and now I've noticed I need to take this wire off. I can't get this connector apart because they're just a pain in the arse, aren't they, these things? So I'm going to wiggle it up this way. Is that going to come? Oh, I'm going to break this, aren't I? You know what I mean? It looks like it's, oh, perfect, look at that. They're a pain in the arse, these things. They're so difficult to undo. Oh, gotcha. Whew. Right, just one more thing to take off now, which is this black sort of airline down here. Oh, there it goes out. That's that hose out. So now this thing, apart from the cage, which I've got away without taking that air block off, which was a bit of a worry. So here's the compressor. It's completely out. It is dusty. I don't think it's ever been out. Let's get it up on the bench, get it apart, and I'll show you how to refurbish this. All right, we've got the compressor here on the bench. It's quite dirty. This is the motor. This is the actual compressor sort of piston. I think is in here. I'm guessing this must be a bit of an air dryer maybe. I need to take this hose here off, and it's got one of those connectors there on it. I found the easiest way to do this is to put a spanner on there and push with a spanner, and that kind of pushes the saying this is not working, is it? to get. Okay, I can't get that off of there because it's pulling that way on a really tight bit of pipe, so I'm guessing it has to come out of here first. I'm not sure how that comes out of there. Okay, so in order to remove this hose, I've just got a 12mm spanner. Just kind of get it under here. I should be able to leave that up. It says that. There we go. That should just come out of there. That's it. So you need to. What you're basically doing is pushing down on that little collar while pulling this up. It's just got some dirt on it. I need to make sure I clean that up. So the next bit is to undo these two bolts here and take this is the cylinder, if you like. You take that bit there off. So this is a T30 Torx bit. Lift that off. So there's your piston and there's the cylinder. So I'll look in there. It's actually pretty clean. There's some specks of dirt in there, but it's this bit here you want to be checking, because that's the seal, and that looks really sort of glazed. We'll compare that to the new one in a moment. I've noticed I can't get this away from the motor without unplugging this little plug here, so I'm just going to get this off. But I want to record it to make a note of the routing, because the wire goes up there through that hole and then back to the dryer that way. So I've got that plug off, and so this is your cylinder, and I believe this thing here is an air dryer, and I reckon this is full of silica gel. If it's anything like my old Range Rover one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate it and see what's inside here, because I bet this is going to be some sort of silica gel to dry the air out, and it's important to replace that because it does age and perish over time. So we've got 10mm bolts here. The head's captive, so we should better just get them straight off. There it goes. Right. So there's that spring in there. Goes. Well, I reckon in here is some sort of desiccant. Oh, there it is. In there, as you can see, that's wet. And what this stuff here does is it's desiccant. It dries out the moisture, but I reckon that is probably past its best. So I need to look at how we can get that out of there without destroying this thing, and refilling that with some silica gel. And that's really wet, horrible. And you can see the spring's got corrosion on it, because this is where the air comes out of the compressor, through this hole, through this desiccant, through this plastic housing, and then into your system. So the best way to prevent damage is to stop water getting into it, which is what they're supposed to be doing. That's just the majority of the water out. I'll leave that for an hour or two just to air dry. And this one here, same in here, I'm going to give this a really good clean out. This is where the piston goes up and down, and what I might do is give that a little clean in there with some brake cleaner, just to get any residual crud out. Okay, I'm going to focus on this bit now, this air dryer. I've just noticed that if you twist this little thing, you can pull that off, and then I reckon this metal bit here just comes off. I'll try and see if I can pick it off with a magnet rather than tipping it over. There we go. Right, so that's that bit off. That was easy enough. And then there's some sort of filter here, filter medium, which stops all the bits coming out. And there's all your desiccant. Right, so this is going to be saturated with water. This is not going to be effective anymore. So I'm going to empty this out and then refill it with a new one. Right, that's that all gone. There's just another bit of gauze in the other end there to stop the little beads getting into the system. Make sure they're all out of there. Again, I'm going to leave this, I don't know, an hour or two just to naturally air out before I put the new stuff in. Right, so this is what we're going to refill it with. This is just standard silica gel desiccant. This will work perfectly fine. Going to give it a little tamp to sort of solidify them. A little filter back over the top, that metal thing back on there like that, and then that's good to go, I think. And then this thing just pushes like back on that round nozzle and just holds that in place. Right, on to the next thing. This is the kit from X8R. I've used these guys before. There's actually an instruction thing on the back there. It's a Wabco air suspension repair kit, and this is a Wabco compressor. So there's obviously a little QR code for what to do there, but I'm showing you what to do. I don't need to do that. So let's open this up. Thank you for your purchase. And a couple of seals here. Two of them by the looks of it. Some cable ties, a couple of new bolts, which I'm guessing are replacing the ones that hold this on. There's a new seal for here, this bit, which is that round one. These two seals in here, because these compressors have got different heads. One takes this type of seal and the other one takes the round one. Mine takes the round one, so I don't need that shaped seal. So I need that one there. And the other thing I do need is this. This is the important bit. This is your piston ring, which is what replaces this one here. That's the wear sort of component, if you like. So we need to lever this one out now really carefully. I can probably get it out of my fingers actually. Nope, maybe not. It goes a certain way up, as you can see there. You've got a little pin in the piston ring groove itself, and I'll just lever that off there. There we go. Right, so it went up that way, just for reference. That's up. See, it's really shiny. It's got some signs of wear there. And to give you an example what a new one looks like, so they look really quite different, don't they? As you can see there. This one then goes back on, little groove there. Put it over really carefully. Right. So if I show you there, you can see that little pin is in that sort of groove there. And what happens is, as the this goes up and down, there's a little valve in the top of the piston which opens. We've got a little reed valve. I'm not going to bend that because it's going to damage it. There's a little reed valve there that opens and closes, so that's air in from below, and then push it in, and when it goes up it closes and stops it coming back down again. So that's how the air goes through the piston. But this ring closes as it goes up and down the cylinder, because the cylinder is tapered. This next one is this one here. Little pick. Just pick that seal out. As you can see, there's the old one there. It does feel a little bit crusty. We'll give that a quick wipe round just to make sure there's no dirt in that seal groove. The last thing we want is a leak, because that just makes the compressor work that much harder. If there's a leak here and air gets out, the compressor's just got to work double hard to maintain the same sort of pressure, and that's when you get them burning out. On this compressor actually, it doesn't, I don't know if it does have one or not, but on the Range Rovers it's got a temperature sensor. So when it reaches a certain degree of temperature, it overheats and then it shuts down to save it from burning out. I don't know if these do the same. It might do, because it might be what that thing is there. I'm not sure what that is, but it looks like it could be a temperature sensor perhaps. That's clean. So we just, actually I might give that O-ring a little, tiny bit of silicone grease. Just a tiny bit in my finger. Just give it a little go around there. That just makes it a bit easier to fit and less likely to pinch. Same on this, I had to put a bit of silicone grease on that, but it's probably still enough on my fingers to lube that up a bit. So that goes back in here into that hole in the bottom down there. So I go one way, there we go, that's in. There was that spring, wasn't there, that went there, which is against that bad boy like that. Right, and then this goes against that. There's a seal in there which I might give a little wipe round because it looks like it's a bit grubby in there. I haven't got a replacement seal for this bit, but I'm just going to give it a little wipe round anyway. Just make sure it's clean in there. Oh, looks clean in there to me now. I might put a little smear, a little tiny smear of silicone grease around there. There's a little smear of silicone grease. I reckon this goes, I don't think it's spring. This goes this way. There we go. So now I need to push that back together, which is easier said than done, not having 3 hands. Put the nut back on, and then we've got that partially installed. Get the other one in. Yeah. Again, push against that spring. Hoping you've not forgotten anything at this point, because I don't think I have, but you never know. Well, these weren't massively tight, so I'm just going to nip them. Right. I'm happy with that. That's that bit rebuilt. That's the new seal there. So then this goes back on top of the motor, just like that really. They've given us 2 new bolts. I'll use them. I noticed there's a bit of thread lock on the old ones, and there isn't any thread lock on these ones, so maybe I'll put a little tiny spot on there. See, one little bit on there, a little bit on there. That'll be enough, because this red stuff is quite a bit stronger than the blue, so I don't want to put too much on there, or it'll be the devil's own job getting it apart again if I ever have to. Okay, just get these bolts back in. Oh, would be. So the old ones are Torx and they're a bloody Allen key. Right. That is pretty much this pump rebuilt. So now we just get it back on the car. Right, this pipe's got to go back on. And what I remember, it went, these things went sort of down in there, these little supports. And they went like that and like that maybe. Again, I put a little tiny bit of silicone grease on here. Just a tiny smidge and a smidge on there, because there's an O-ring that these slide into, and I just want to make sure it's kept nicely lubricated. So this one goes back in there like that, nice and easy, and then this one goes back in this hole. Again, just straightforward like that. That's where that went, like that. Did this go over there like that maybe? It probably did go underneath that, but does it really matter? Probably not. I'm gonna give this a little, just a little clean, just so that I've been here. So when I undone the compressor, that bolt there snapped off. So this bracket here obviously needs to come off. I've got those 2 bolts there out, but this one here is rounded. So I need to get a bolt extractor on that to get that out. Right, with a little bit of help from the Dremel, I managed to get that bracket off. That's where that bracket came from. I need to get rid of all this surface rust here. I'll treat all that first, sort the bracket out, put the bracket back up there. Right, got the bracket in the vise. Just going to use a grinder to cut that nut off. Just like that, it's ground off. It's going to be not. Ow. Yeah, I knew that'd be out. I don't know why I touched that. Right, that's a bit better. I'll get a bit of paint on that now, and then I can reinstall that. Saved us 50 quid. Okay, so this is my refurbished bracket that was all rusty and horrible. I've managed to make that good again. That'll do. It's only holding the compressor up. So that's where it bolts to the body, and this one here is the bolt that was holding up the compressor sort of chassis thing. As you can see, I've ground the nut out, and I'm now going to fit a riv nut into the hole. That's as far in as it will go. If I just unscrew it from the tool now, you'll now see our replacement bolt goes in there without any problem at all. Now these aren't really great for mega high loads because it will just pull out of there if you pull it really, really hard. It's not as good as a weld nut, but that will do to hold that compressor up because it doesn't weigh a lot. I'm ready to go back on the car. Right, that's the compressor all mounted up and bolted back up, cable tied back on, all ready to go back up there. What I'm going to do is connect up these last couple of wires here. Right, so it's like a bit of dirt in my face. So nice. Tighten these up, but I might have to move them to locate this last one, but I'll sort that out when the time comes. Right, I need to find a longer bolt. Compressor bolted all back up again. I had to order a long bolt for the front. It's longer than these two. They're different lengths, so I had to order an 80mm bolt for at the front there, which is now done, bolted in, so that's good to go. This did come on when I started the car earlier. Normally it runs quite some time, but I noticed I could hear it running over the exhaust, but it didn't run all that long, so which I think means that my Reseal kit has made it a bit more efficient, which is good news. Right, so that's it for the compressor reseal video. So now you've learned how to reseal the compressor on your Porsche. Hopefully you're going to get around doing that yourself. You see, it's actually quite straightforward. Any fool can do it. I can do it. You can do it. So get yourself one of those kits. They're only 20 quid. Get your compressor off your car and reseal it. That way then you'll have years and years of trouble-free air suspension. Not really, you'll probably have some other problems, but at least your compressor won't be one of them. If you enjoyed this, give us a like and subscribe. Keep an eye on the channel. More Porsche content to come. Thanks for watching.